Hello, everybody. My name is Tony Rizzano, and this is episode 300 of the world famous, the University of Love. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the best podcast in 1, 2, 3 galaxies. Ladies and gentlemen, you and I, we just call it Online Marketing Moves, and we are coming to you live today. Today is Tuesday, June the 8th, 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an exciting episode. It's 300. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, everybody, okay? I'm just kidding. Today is a good day. It's a very exciting day, 300. I like numbers that, even numbers, 250, 300, 325, not 325, 350, 400, things like that. Those kind of numbers I like. I like any kind of number. But 300 is a good number. We're done 300 episodes, with not including the bonus episode. So it's a good mark. And the listenership is going up. The people are listening. People are sticking around. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you. Tell more people about the greatest podcast in 1, 2, 3 galaxies. All right. But ladies and gentlemen, before we get started, today we're going to talk about funnels. So, all right. We're going to discuss a little funnel talk. But before we get started, I would like to share a story with you. I have a question for all of you. Everybody listening to this podcast, whether it be today, June the 8th, whether it be June 8th, 2022, whether it be December the 8th, 2022. I have a question to ask you. Have you ever had any kind of run-ins with a celebrity? Now, also, before I shouldn't say that. I should say, what is the biggest lie anybody has ever told you in your life? Okay. Now I'm going to tell you a story about the biggest lie somebody has told me. It was a long time ago. And it had to do with a celebrity. Now, one of my favorite musical people in the world, I enjoy, the Celine Dion. I enjoy Meatloaf. And they're up there in the top 10, but also in the top 10 is my man Sean Carter, also known as Jay-Z. Okay, I like Jay-Z, rock with Jay-Z. I bought a few albums, and I remember one time, long time before I met my beautiful wife. Okay, this is the early 2000s, kids. Okay, this is like 2000, matter of fact, 2000, 2001, something like that. I was dating this girl. Okay. She was okay, whatever. But I remember she was telling me, and she lived, I got out of the Navy and she was still in California, and I moved back to Missouri, because California is very expensive. But anyway, she told me, and so when I moved back to Missouri, the first couple months I was broke. I had no money. So every Saturday night I would spend my time watching TV and I would spend my time at home. I never went anywhere on Saturday nights, Saturday afternoon, I might go see one of my friends from the old hometown, but for the most part, 100% of the time, I was in my house on Saturday nights. Okay, so this young lady, she went to a Jay-Z concert, and I remember I said, call me when you get done with the concert and all that kind of stuff. She said she had VIP passes, which I thought, I said, that's cool. And so the next day, she called me and she said, I'm mad at you. And I'm like, do what? I'm like, what did I do? And she said, Jay-Z called your house last night. And I had to say again, what did you say? She said, Jay-Z, I met Jay-Z last night. I had him call your house, but you didn't answer the phone. And I thought, you got to be kidding, because the phone didn't ring. And, my parents had a house phone and the phone didn't ring at all. And I'm like, how can he call when I'm sitting here every Saturday night watching the phone doesn't ring. You know what I mean? And she just said, Jay-Z called your house. Jay-Z called your house. And I thought to myself, at first I was like, and she's like, he asked me, did he want me to leave a voicemail? And I told him, don't worry about the voicemail. He didn't want to answer the phone, so forget about it. And at first I thought Jay-Z called the house and you wouldn't let him leave a voicemail. But then, like a few weeks later, I was walking down the streets of good old Missouri, and I thought, man, she's lying through her gums. Okay, no Jay-Z called my house, no anybody called my house, because my parents' phone would ring and ring and ring, and it didn't even ring, and I was home every Saturday night. So that's the biggest lie anybody has ever told me. You know what I mean? Like that is, and she brought it up a couple of times. After we broke up, after we split up or whatever, and she's like, Jay-Z called your house, but you'll never know. I'm like, Jay-Z never called my house first off. Okay. So that's the biggest lie. But anyway, do you have any stories like that? Well, if you do, you should share them with an audience. You know what I mean? Share them with people that really want to hear them, and that is some of the content that you could produce, right? But just, I mean, now I remember I even told my wife, I told that story once, and she's like, Jay-Z never called your house. I said, yeah, I know. Jay-Z never called my house, but one day when I have Jay-Z on the podcast and we're rapping about entrepreneurship and business ideas, I ask him, I say, hey, I know you remember this girl you met, and she had you call a 573 number, 573 area code in the year 2001. So I know you remember. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, today we are here to discuss. Now, a long time ago. So a lot of you probably didn't hear this, but a long time ago, I used to discuss these funnels I was using for my affiliate marketing, and one product I used to use, which it was a good program, don't get me wrong, but the thing that annoyed me more than anything about this program was the people in the program. Okay, and I'm talking about ClickFunnels, and I talked about this guy before. The guy himself is not bad, you know what I mean? Like, Russell Brunson, he seems like a good guy, and like he gives off a lot of good information. Don't get me wrong, and I've learned a few things from him. I've jotted a few down. I bought a couple of his books, and so I read a couple of his books. I bought 2 books. Now I bought 3 books. I like the first 2 books, the Traffic Secrets books. I really didn't care too much for that book. It was okay, but the other 2 I bought, the .com and the other one, I can't think of the other one right now, but Expert Secrets, .com secrets and Expert Secrets. I bought those 2. I thought those 2 were pretty good, but the last one, it was okay. It wasn't as good as the other 2. But anyway, so he has a product called ClickFunnels, and I used to use ClickFunnels, and I used to be in a Facebook group, and I will tell you what, this was the most annoying group of people I probably met in my life. You know what I mean? Not because, because we all had the same goal. Don't get me wrong. We all want to be internet people. We all want to make money online, which is nothing wrong with that. It's great. But they sounded like little Russell Brunson clones, and it sounded like it got to be, I was, it got to sound like you was in the cult, because they would say the same thing. And we all know, listen, if you listen to this podcast, let's be honest with each other, okay? We all know that the thing you have to do is and they said this ad nauseum. You think I repeat myself on this podcast? No, these people repeat the same thing. Anybody would say, "What can I do to make a few bucks?" You know what they would say? I give you 5 seconds. If you're ever in Facebook groups, or if you're ever in a group with people with a bunch of sheep, you will hear the same thing over and over. And I'm gonna tell you what it is. You ever in a group with a bunch of people online, they will say, in order for you to be successful, in order for you to make a lot of money, you must give value. Value, 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 value. Say it with me, everybody. Value, 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 value. They will value to death, pal. I'll tell you what. Value, 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 value. I mean, it sounded like it was a broke. Listen, it was a broken record. It got old quick. I said, listen, we both know quality is great. You want to give people value. You have to give people value, but a lot of times the information, and this is one reason why the tactical stuff, the knowledge, the like funnels and all that stuff, we could talk about that stuff if we wanted to, but you can find that stuff on your own. You can look at that stuff. It's really not a reason for us to dive into that all the time. This podcast is more about, I like to think of myself as somebody to help you start creating content that you need to gain an audience. So that way, because once you gain an audience, that's the hardest part. Forget the technique of a funnel, forget the offers. If you don't have an audience to show them anything, then you have nothing. You know what I mean? You have absolutely zero. You can have the best offer, you can have the best funnel on God's green earth. If you don't have an audience, you don't have people to look at it, then it's a mute point. So this podcast, I like to tell, because I was and this is one reason why I like to harp on this, because in the beginning I thought, that I wouldn't be able to create content, and I'm like, you can create content out of anything. We all have stories. I'm not gonna get into it today. We're not gonna get preachy today, but we all have stories. We all have different walks of life. We're all from different backgrounds and everything like that. So you can produce any kind of content you want. So a lot of times on this podcast, we talk about creating content. We talk about belief. We talk about what you can do to get yourself going. You know what I mean? But the techniques and all that kind of stuff, there's plenty of books. There's plenty of, things that you can do. There's just things that you can watch, from billboards to TV to people. This is why I also suggest that you study people, like watch different, not just people in internet marketing, but watch different people in different walks of life. You know what I mean? Like, I watch my wife, not just because she's my wife, but she's great at selling, like on the phone. It's amazing. Like when I was trying to figure out how to sell to people on the phone, I started watching her. I didn't really say much. I would just turn the TV down a little bit, and then I would start watching her, and I would watch how she would word things, and she never sounded like a salesperson. She was just go float, and then they would sign up for a class, and she said, we have a package, this, that, and the other. She would just keep saying it, because the easiest sale to make is the person that you just sold to. You know what I mean? So I was watching her, and I'm like, okay. And so she doesn't do anything. She doesn't really do anything online, but she just, people walking in, people on the telephone, and she does a little marketing online, but not as much as I think she should. But that's neither here nor there. But her, and then you see people like I told you this story before about this truck stop on I-80 in Wyoming, Little America. They do the billboards. You see the billboards you see the billboards all across Wyoming. So if they don't get you the first time, if you're a truck driver in the United States of America, if they don't get you one time, they're gonna get you eventually. We've all succumbed to Little of America. You know why? The billboards, man. The billboards. There's a billboard from Cheyenne, from Cheyenne all the way until you see Little America. It's like 200 miles away, I think. So you just see it over and over, and you're like, all right, let me check this place out. It's a very nice place. So there's different walks of life that you can view, different walks of life you can see. But let's get back to the funnel. Let's get back to the funnel zombies. And no, ClickFunnels is a good product. Like I've used it. It works. It's It's nice. At first it's a little hard because I just never done anything like that before. But once I got it down pat, it got a little easier. And what you can do is create like, let's say you're an affiliate marketer, but you have a couple things you want to sell people. You load up the funnel, and then you're like, hey, the first page, you're like, hey, if you buy this, whatever offer, blah 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 blah, you do it that way. But the thing I wanted to talk to you about was, first off, if you do use ClickFunnels, stay away from the I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. If you do use ClickFunnels, which, like I said, I think it's a good product. You can judge it for yourself. It's a little pricey. It's like $97 a month. It's nothing. It's kind of a little expensive, especially if you're starting off on a budget. I have another funnel that I use. It's only $50 a month. So if you ever want to know the name of that, you can just email me. I put it out a few times. I'll probably put it out again later. But today I'm not here to I'm not really here to sell you on anything. We're just here to talk about funnels and stuff like that. But the thing I do recommend, though, if you use ClickFunnels, don't go into the Facebook groups really, because I don't know how it is now, but like last year, a couple years ago, it's very, you would just go in there and be like, hey, I'm new, I'm trying to figure this out, and they like, hey, buy my book, hey, look at my book, hey, 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 hey. You're like, it's like you're like a person amongst a bunch of horny animals. You know what I mean? If you say, hey, I'm new, I'm trying to figure this out. But the reason I wanted to talk about ClickFunnels a little bit today is I went and I bought this book, I think last year, a couple years ago. And now, of course, the great Russell Brunson, he said this book is free, but you have to pay shipping and handling. Ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you something. It's probably obvious. If they tell you the book is free, but you have to pay shipping and handling, then the book ain't free, okay? But this is the book that I wanted to have because I wanted to learn more about funnels. And this book is called The Funnel Hackers Cookbook. Now it's built up like a little cookbook. So they have different funnels you can use, different funnels that you can actually learn how to create yourself. And I will give you an example of one right now. Now, the first one I see here, lead funnel recipe number 1, squeeze page funnel. For you, that will be the funnel that you probably will want to get started with. And why? Because it helps you get leads. And it's a squeeze page funnel. And what you want to do is create curiosity that someone gives you the email address. Now, we talked about this before. When somebody gives you the email address, make sure you email them early. Make sure you email them often. You want to get better with the email, but you want to email people. Don't email people once a month. Don't email people once every 6 months. Don't email people when you just have an offer. Email people every day. If you have to offer them, if you offer them the same thing for 9 months in a row, then do that. But email them on a regular basis. Don't get into the habit of being one of these people that just email them every now and then. Hey, it's me. I'm back. It's been 9 months, but I got something to sell you. No, that's not gonna work. It's not gonna fly. People a lot smarter than what they used to be. You know what I mean? People a lot more cautious about who they buy from, who they buy with. And a lot of this these days, this is another reason why we really don't go into tactics very much on this podcast, because a lot of this stuff is personality driven nowadays. It's a lot more, hey, do I like this person? Do I not like this person? This is why Kim Kardashian is super popular, because you talk to 100 people, and what do 100 people tell you? If you ever say, hey, have you watched the Kardashians? You know what these people are going to say? No, I will never watch that show. But it's like, somebody's watching this show, okay? I've watched it with my wife once, and I told my wife, I said, I don't know what's going on. My head is starting to spin. I'm out, okay? Okay? And my wife said, all right, good night. Go to bed. And I said, thank you. Thank you, honey. But but she don't watch as much. I don't think she watches it all anymore. But so a lot of this stuff is personality driven. This is why Trump won the election. It wasn't about his politics. He jumped on something. He was like, "Hey, I'm gonna make America great again." For a certain group of people, and the people bought in, and the people was like, "Yeah, yeah, that's what we need." And so his personality drove him to the presidency. Kim Kardashian, her personality, her brand, her a plastic surgery drives people to buy coffee table books from her and all this kind of stuff. So a lot of this stuff is not, hey, give value, because I remember one time I was writing on Medium. I had been writing, I've been writing, and I mean, man, I was churning them out. I wrote I erased a lot of them, but in the beginning, I wrote about 30, 40 stories, okay, on Medium. And some of them were okay, but some of them were actually real good. You know what I mean? Like some of them were really good. And I remember I wrote 40 stories and I didn't make a lot of money, but it's neither here nor there. And I remember it was a girl. She had a big following on Instagram, and she was like, "I'm gonna write on Medium," and she made $10,000 just because she told all her fans to go read her story. And the story was crap. Okay, the story was pure D garbage, but she made $10,000. God bless her. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be mad. I've churned out 40 stories and I probably made $10 maybe. This young lady wrote one vapid story and she made $10,000. Why? Because she had the following. At the time, I was, Joe Blow, nothing going on. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's just how it is. But on the squeeze page, you definitely want to get, you definitely want to get as many, not as many emails. I shouldn't say that. The goal is, we all know the goal. The goal is for you to create a group of people who are going to be active, who are going to be with you, who are going to buy from you on a regular basis. Like I said, not every product they're going to buy, but you want these people to be active. So you want to figure out who's my target audience. Who do I want to market? Who do I want to talk to? Who do I want to lead? Who do I want to be the leader of? You know what I mean? Like that's what you're looking for. That's what you want. You don't want to try to throw the net on the kids from 5 to 75 because that will catch you no fish. Okay? So figure out what you want, and then you can start doing things like squeeze page funnel. They have another one, tripwire funnel, things like that. But definitely you should use the squeeze page funnel. And squeeze page, you can just say, hey, if you I give you my PDF for free if you give me your email address. And a lot of times, don't get offended, but a lot of people will give you fake email addresses. And if they give you a fake email address, F them. Who cares? Move on. Don't worry about that because you want to weed people out anyway. I don't know if you ever thought about this, but life itself is a big funnel. From any job that you work, especially if you especially if you ever worked at a warehouse. At like, how many of you forget the job that you get at a bank and all that kind of stuff? Like that's a more selective process. But have you ever worked at a warehouse? Like a big warehouse, like a chicken plant, or like just a warehouse where they hire anybody. Amazon, for God's sake, you know what I mean? Like they just hire anybody, and it's like, all right, they'll hire 100 people a week, and by the time 6 months is over with, 10 people work there still. That's a funnel. It's all a funnel. Everything's kind of a funnel if you ever think about it. So if they give you a fake email address, who really cares? Let them give you the fake email address and move on. But you want people to be active. You want people to, and this is why you want to produce as much content as possible. This is why you want to stay active with the content, because the most important thing is consistency with your content. And the more content you produce, the better off you will be getting a email address, getting a response out of people. People will feel like, hey, this guy, we're a family. We know each other. We like each other. I want to buy from them. I trust them. I remember, I will tell you an example of feeling like family. When I was trucking and I was on the road, heavy on the road. I remember I used to listen to Howard Stern every day. Every day I would listen to the show. And I remember I was like, one time they went on vacation. I was like, ah man, I kind of missed my family, you know? Like it was that serious because you're on the road, you're by yourself. These people come on every day. You get to know them, you get to laugh, you get to have a good time, and it's cool. So you want to have that same feeling with your audience, and once they get to know you, they get to like you, they get to trust you. Getting the email address is pretty easy. So the squeeze page funnel, especially if you have like a YouTube channel or a podcast, you're like, hey, go click on this link and sign up for my email address, and you could just tell them, sign up for the email list. Sometimes you don't have to really give an offer. If you just like, hey, if you like my stuff, sign into my email address. There's more than one way to skin a cat, if you don't have a offer yet. If you do have an offer, go ahead and offer them go ahead and dangle the carrot, Now, this is not trickeration. You're not here to trick anybody. You're not here to dupe anybody, You're just here for an email address. So that's one of the many funnels that they have in this book. And this is actually a pretty decent book, this whole cookbook funnel thing, because you know why? Because it's software. And honestly, if you think about it, if you build up an audience, let's say you build up an audience of 100,000 people, 200,000 people, you say you build up that kind of audience, you might want to think about doing something kind of like software like, so that way you can get a recurring income with a subscription. This is why newsletters, software subscriptions, this is why that stuff is great, because you can always get money every month, and that's a beautiful thing. All right, so the Funnel Hackers Cookbook is a decent book. You can get the online version if you want, or if you have any questions, I can always send you some information through the book. I'll thumb through it for you, not too much, but I'll thumb through it for you a little bit. And I can always screenshot a couple things and send you some information. Cause we're family. I don't want to leave you hanging. I don't want to leave you out. I don't want to think, hey, this guy's just hawking these products. Not today. Today's episode 300. It's just want to talk to you about funneling and why you should. It's more personality driven than tactics, because some people have no tactics, okay, and they are making a boatload of money. It's because of the personality, because they're liked by somebody, and sometimes you think, who likes them, who likes that, but they have an audience. And once you get an audience, once you establish an audience, then there's nothing really that people can do. Once you have that established, you're great, you're good, then you have to just monetize that, not abuse it, not abuse it, don't abuse it, don't be silly, offer them good products that you believe in, that that you trust, because trust and believe you me, it is easy to gain, it is easier to keep somebody's trust than it is to gain their trust back. Okay? So do not get out here, fumble the ball, lose people's trust, because they will give you the side eye for quite some time. And you do not want that pressure. All right. But ladies and gentlemen, that is it. That is it for the podcast. I hope you enjoyed episode 300 of Online Marketing Moves. Woohoo! We will be back tomorrow with an all new episode. But until then, my name is Tony Rizzano. Thank you for listening. Thank you for always listening. Thank you for being there. We appreciate you, and we are going to keep this thing rolling. But until tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Goodbye. And as always, everybody, peace.